All right. I have to share this book with you. I love after I pick the kids up from school, the library is right around the corner. And it also has a charging station because I have a fully electric vehicle that is not a Tesla. So it only does like 100 miles per charge. So I have to charge a little more often. So I love the library. I also love the library because I love books. I love books. And I love going into certain sections. And the reason why I love the library too is because there are just certain books that tend to jump at me. And it's always really beautiful because it's just like the mindset of manifestation, what you focus on, your attention goes where focus goes, or whatever that quote is. And so the certain things are jumping out at me. Now, I think this is true, but I also really do think that I'm like, I know good and well those books weren't there last time I looked, which is true because books are being checked out and checked in. And this time I found a book, and it was the first book was um When God Was a Woman, and I was like, "Oh, that's a really interesting title." And I pulled it off, and then I kept looking, and then I saw this We and Manifesto for Women Everywhere. And I might not have necessarily known this or grabbed it if it wasn't for that first book. So sometimes one thing triggers a thought so that you can find the next thing. And so I picked up this book, and I'm going to try to save my spot that I want to read to you today. But then I turned it over and I saw this on the back. Imagine a sisterhood across all creeds and cultures, an unspoken agreement that we as women will support and encourage one another. And it just really resonated so much because I have one Facebook group that is collaboration over competition. And then as Holly and I have formed the Woe Network, this has become really, truly our motto for the group. And there's so many more layers to what we want to convey of the things that we have learned and the vision that we see. And as I really started picking this book up, I sent Holly and Janana a message, and I was like, "This book," and I started reading, and I want to read this to you because, and I'm not going to read all of it to you, but it's like story time with Izzy, because I think we need to hear this. And some of these things might be that you've already thought, things that you already know, but this can be a remembrance and a reminder to come back to that energy of collectiveness and this cohesiveness that we can really achieve so much more when we come together. And whether we are talking about our individual mind or we're talking about us as the collective, which today I'm talking about us as the collective. So here in this book, it says there's 9 principles. And if you like this, I'll keep coming back and we can keep doing story time with Izzy. Uh, so there's 9 principles that they're really teaching. And these principles have the power to transform your life and the world around you. It's a lifestyle choice to be bolted onto our normal me centered way of living. And this is what I often speak of as survival mode, as this me centered way of living. It's a path of radical transformation that puts compassion for the world at its core. And in this book, use it as a guide and a source. If you're hurting, it will help you heal. If you're lost, it will steer you home. If you're searching for purpose, it will gently lead you towards fulfillment. We arrive in this world without an instruction manual. I'm going to agree to disagree. We grow up without an emotional toolkit. Our society typically doesn't provide us. So it's easy to lose our way. As we go through life, we amass emotional scar tissue from the knocks that we inevitably take. We become like electrical circuit boards that have gotten so clogged up by the sediment of life that we no longer connect with ourselves at our core beliefs, let alone with the world beyond. All of us start out in life with a strong internal value system, a sense of what's right and wrong, and what's fair and unjust. But then life intervenes. In the cold light of reality, our ideals can quickly seem naive, unrealistic, and unattainable. However strong and heartfelt our intentions, it's hard to give effect to our beliefs when we are struggling, stressed, and emotional pain. Before long, we've abandoned those values in favor of the rules that we are taught by the world. Succeed, compete, accumulate. Deep down, we feel conflicted. But at the end of the day, we each have to get by, don't we? A gulf emerges between the values we choose for our personal lives and the life we live in the world at large. In our homes and families, we believe in sharing and making sure everyone's okay. And that's the way it should be, but we know that's not always true, too. But once we step outside our front door, the rules change. The common good is replaced with a quest for personal success. Within seconds, we dissolves into me. And we're elbowing one another out of the way for a race to finish the finish line. Except, of course, there isn't one. It's just a horizon that keeps moving further and further away each time we get closer. So I wanted to read that, and this is just the introduction note before it gets into the book. I think this is so important for us to think about this and look at this. And again, I know some of these thoughts are things that we think. We think like, oh, I love these things. I want to be the change. I want to do these things. But survival mode kicks in and we default into surviving. And there is nothing wrong with that. So please know that I'm not saying you're wrong or you're bad for doing that. What I hope is to bring awareness to it, because everything starts with awareness. Everything starts with awareness. So as we can bring awareness to the fact that we want to do good, that we have these desires, but suddenly the switch is on over here and the switch is off over there, or we keep thinking it but we're not doing it, that these are bigger conversations that we need to have. And a lot of times I think, and I hope the book gets into this, is this feeling of, am I going to be judged? Am I in a safe community? Am I somewhere where I can talk about this, where I can let my guard down, where I can fully be me? And to urge you to trust. And that can be really hard if we've gone a really long time without doing it, or if we've never had the community to do that. But I urge you, if you want, and please comment if you'd like, we can continue this story time and this discussion. Maybe we can even have some Zoom sessions where we really break this down together. And I love book studies where maybe we read the book together rather than having to go out and read it, that we can read it and discuss it together, because not all of us have the time, the space, the container to go read. We could at least read together. So let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I hope that you have a moment this weekend, this week, to just breathe, to really connect to the we rather than just the me.